Well, good evening to you. Thank you for joining us right here on K24 Evening Edition. Let's begin by having a look at what is shaping news tonight.
We have ascertained that there was no link between the cause of the fire and the fault on our network as alleged in a section of the media reports.
Kenya Power comes out to dismiss claims that the recent fire incident at Hillside and Russia Academy in Nyeri County, where 21 people died, was as a result of an electric fault. National Health Insurance Fund NHIF said to have been defrauded 21 billion through fictitious claims for the financial year that ended June 2022. National Labour Board and the General Wages Council set to play crucial roles in addressing labour-related issues and enhancing workers' wages.
Some of these blackouts emanate from the infrastructure that we have.
Plus, Ministry of Energy and Petroleum attributes the recent power outages that have hit the country to outdated transmission infrastructure. Well, K24 Evening Edition begins right now. I'm Alan Owino. Our sign language interpreter for this session is Clement Muli. Kenya Power has come out to dismiss claims that the recent fire incident at Hillside and Russia Academy in Nyeri County, where 21 people died, was as a result of an electrical fault. In a statement on Tuesday, the firm allayed fears that the deadly fire might have been caused by an electrical malfunction, saying its teams have since established that everything was in place at the time of the tragedy. And as Harry Chimea now reports, a multi-agency team is now combing through the school compound, meticulously gathering evidence for forensic processing.
Early this morning, investigators arrived at Hillside and Russia Academy, resuming their detailed search for evidence linked to the fire that tragically claimed lives and destroyed much of the school. The team, comprising of experts from EPRA, DCI and specialized forensic units, scoured every inch of the site to be sent for further forensic analysis. David Kinywa Wambugu, the school investor, guided the investigators as they zeroed in on key sections of the campus. Special attention was given to the electrical systems and solar panels which operate alongside Kenya Power's electricity supply. On the other hand, Kenya Power, led by Acting Central Regional Manager Duncan Mashuka, distanced itself from accusations of faulty bulbs. Mashuka firmly stated that their systems were fully operational on the night of the fire and no blackouts were reported in the area.
Upon receiving the news of this fire incident, our team in Nyeri switched off power supplied to the school as a precautionary measure while handling fire incidences. We have ascertained that there was no link between the cause of the fire and the fault on our network as alleged in a section of the media reports.
Mashuka emphasized that if there had been a power failure, the fire would have spread near the school's main gate where the meter box is situated.
The line supplying the school is a low voltage line from our Muiga substation. At the time when the fire incident occurred, supply was stable on this line with no reported incidences. All the Kenya Power installations, including the meter, supply cable, earthing, low voltage and high tension fuses, and the transformer were intact.
Kenya Power has since submitted a report to EPRA urging investigations into the solar panel contractor, insisting that all the electrical installations adhered to strict safety protocols. As investigations continue, families and the public await answers that perhaps will offer some form of closure and justice. Harriet Chimea, K24.
After the government said all students housed in the ill-fated dormitory have been accounted for, there is a missing child report from one of the parents of Hillside and Russia Academy. According to the parent, the school management has not clarified to her where her son is. Mariam Jahid with the details.
A mother's search for answers intensifies as hope flickers in the face of heartbreak. We meet Angeline Wamboi, a mother to 11-year-old missing boy Robinson Theuri. she refuses to believe that her son, who is in grade 7, is among the 19 lifeless bodies currently lying in Nyeri County morgue, a victim of the horrific hillside in the Russia dormitory fire.
Kulingana na venye walituelezea ni kweli, wanasema mahesabu yenye wanasema ni kama ilihesabika. Lakini sasa siko sure, bado sijakubali kwamba mtoto wangu ameenda. Sababu sasa unapewa information kwamba mtoto tulitoka naye na yule ni classmate wake. Si ati ni mtu ni mtu ati hamjui ama hawasomi. Wanasoma class moja.
She maintains that her son doesn't know the local dialect and was seen by his fellow student outside the dormitory after the fire outbreak.
Kuna mtoto wa classmate wake alikuwa anasema kwamba walitoka na huyo mtoto na hata wakapewa blanketi pamoja wakajifunikia. Though yule mtoto mamake haishi bali, so mamake alipotokezea akaita mtoto wake, wakaenda na mtoto wake na hawakujua kama wangu wamebaki kwa class gani, sababu waliambiwa waingie class B. So mtoto wangu sasa alibaki shule, so lakini hatujamuona, hatujasikia information yoyote.
Her desperate quest to find him alive has taken her to various hospitals.
Leo nimeamka asubuhi nikaenda hospitali zote za Nyeri, nimetafuta. Sijapata. Nimetafuta hata jina ya mtoto huko sijapata. Na ndio hivi nimetoka hospitali.
Even as the government assures that all students from the dormitory have been accounted for, Angeline still have questions to the government and the school administration.
We have been able to account for everybody. All the parents have been reached, and now we are okay as far as those who are missing are concerned. So we can be able to account for everybody and be assured that everybody has been traced as of today.
Niliwaeleza Red Cross. Hata shule kuna mwalimu nilieleza, lakini yeye ananiambia hajapata nafasi ya kuongea na mwanafunzi yoyote.
On Wednesday, government pathologist Johansen Odwor is scheduled to conduct a postmortem examinations on the 19 students who perished in the fire. Angeline is however deeply distressed, noting that her financial constraints may prevent her from attending the autopsy procedure.
Nitaenda. Sababu pia unajua ni gharama pia. Lakini nitaona, nitajaribu venye nitaweza.
She is urging the government to expedite investigations as she feels that her son is alive and kicking, hoping for the best.
Hatuna la kusema sababu hiyo ni kazi yao, lakini tungependa wafanye haraka.
Today, DNA samples that were taken from affected parents were sorted out even as investigations continue.
Nilienda jana, nikatoa DNA. Sababu tuliomba ni sawa tutoe wa mash kama itamash na mwili yoyote naweza nipa. Lakini kama haitamash bado wako glad watajua ni vipi.
Such cases may be on the rise if the government will not speed up investigation. Reporting from Nyeri County, I'm Mariam Jahid.
Away from that, the National Health Insurance Fund, NHIF, was defrauded 21 billion shillings through fictitious claims for the financial year that ended June 2022. This is according to a petition tabled by Bernard Mushere, a former fraud risk management consultant, indicating that NHIF coffers lost the billions through made-up incurred but not reported claims by unscrupulous individuals. Robbie Mondi tells us more.
Various schemes under the National Health Insurance Fund lost billions while service delivery was hampered, including the National Police Service and Kenya Prison Services schemes that lost 4.1 billion, Civil Servant Scheme that lost 2.9 billion, Linda Mama 2.3 billion, Parastatals 780.7 million, Edu Afya 683.9 million, County Schemes 525.3 million, and Retiree Scheme that lost 191 million, among other schemes.
The NHIF management appears to have engaged an actuary firm during the preparation of 2021-2022 financial statement, where it computed IBNR reserves aggregating to Kenya shillings 21 billion 109 million 205,434 shillings. This was a major policy change. However, the Chief Executive Officer and the Chairperson of the Board of Management in their report on page 20 and 72 of the annual report and financial statements for the financial year ending June 22 respectively, consciously avoided mentioning and explaining the basis for the IBNR claims.
Can you identify individuals or departmental heads, whoever, that there must be people who are probably key players in this scheme, because this committee might be interested to have a discussion with them.
According to the petitioner, Bernard Mushere, incurred but not reported claims is a type of reserve account used in the insurance industry by a provision for claims and or events that have transpired but have not yet been reported to an insurance company.
There you find that it's not possible for NHIF to have non-reported claims because it is, real time now.
The petitioner noted that after an analysis of the audited financial statements for financial year under review and preceding years, there was no evidence of data upon which IBNR claims which were created were based, and that IBNR reserves were fraudulently created to enable the siphoning of NHIF funds.
This is what I call creative accounting. They went for creative accounting, where they created a liability first. Then they realized this liability cannot be held. The reason to pay first. And then and that's the first question that one member asked, what were the claim generating activity?
Mushere says this means that IBNR claims reserves were created from book entries, that no liquid money was set aside, leaving Kenyans seeking health services in the dark, despite paying the monthly charges.
Anybody knows, even Makoboga, if you go to hospital and the approval has not been done by NHIF, you cannot be treated. I know everybody knows that. So there's no way claims cannot be reported by hospital scheme.
Appearing before the Public Petition Committee, the petitioner is calling upon the committee to look into the matter to enable Kenyans access health services with ease, as well as take legal action against persons found culpable of fraud in the National Health Insurer.
I almost lost my sight because there was no hospital which was honoring the NHIF. Any hospital that you could visit, the card was regarded as just as it is. It was by then.
Robbie Omondi, K24.
Lawyers representing the government now want the Supreme Court to overturn a ruling by the Court of Appeal that declared the 2023 Finance Act unconstitutional. Led by Ali Mansour, representing the National Assembly, and Githu Muigai, representing the National Treasury, the battery of lawyers argued that if the ruling is not overturned, the government is set to lose billions in revenue collection, thus plunging the country into an economic crisis.
Following the Court of Appeal ruling that declared the 2023 Finance Act unconstitutional, a decision that was followed by conservatory orders by the Supreme Court, which suspended the judgment issued on the 31st of July by the Court of Appeal, the Supreme Court today began its hearing on the appeal lodged by the government. Lawyers representing the petitioners, led by Issa Mansour and Githu Muigai, now want the Supreme Court to invalidate the ruling of the Court of Appeal.
The Court of Appeal did not consider the evidence tendered by the National Assembly through the clerk and the Speaker of the National Assembly on what was the outcome of the public participation. Because had it done that, because if you read the judgment of the Court of Appeal, nowhere do they refer, so they said they had read the whole record, they do not make reference to the report of the Committee on Finance and National Planning on what the outcome of the public participation was. The evidentiary and legal burden is on a petitioner to demonstrate item by item and clause by clause that this particular item infringed this article of the Constitution, and as a result of this policy infringed this article of the Constitution, and as a result it is unconstitutional. That is a burden that you cannot make sweeping statements. You must identify item by item and the article infringed. And when you do that, then the court can intervene and then determine that this is not compatible with the Constitution, or there's no rational. It does not serve any rational. There's no rational justification under the law of the Constitution.
The lawyers insist that public participation was fully undertaken, noting that if not overturned, then the government would be forced to revert to the 2022 Finance Act, thereby resulting to losses in revenue collection.
That the Court of Appeal did not consider or even mention anywhere in its judgment in arriving at its conclusion. Had they considered this report of the committee, then that decision would have been different, because if 13 out of 1,080 are the only ones, which is like 3% out of the presentations that are made to the National Assembly, would then nullify a Finance Act, then would be asking for the National Assembly to respond 101% to all the memoranda. They did, and they did a splendid job, and the court should make that recognition.
The Court of Appeal's decisions to deem the issue surrounding the interpretation of Section 84 as moot effectively dismissed the constitutional issues raised without adequately addressing their continuing relevance and their potential impact.
However, Busia Senator Okiya Omtata, who is the first respondent, called on the 7-judge bench to uphold the appellate court's decision, insisting that proper procedure was not followed.
The two houses of parliament have been taking the country in a circus in their unnecessary tough wars. Instead of obeying those clear pronouncements of this court, the National Assembly has, in subsequent years, repeated what provoked the said 2013 reference for advice or opinion. That is a dangerous course of action which should not be allowed.
The hearing is set to continue tomorrow. Ian Keitani, K24 TV, Nairobi.
Well, we'll take a break here on K24 Evening Edition. We'll be back with more updates in a short while.
As the sun rises, so do we, as we trust it to rise and set without any worries interrupting your day. StarTime's home solar solution with solar panels, hybrid inverter, and lithium